So how are the Yankees going to fill in for Clark Schmidt when he was doing his part to already fill in for Garrett Cole? Now they're both gone. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much, everybody, joining me on the live last night. We talked about this new injury to Clark Schmidt. For those that haven't heard, he was placed on a 15-day IL with a right lat strain that's in his pitching arm. But then Aaron Boone announced later on that he's going to be shut down completely for 4 to 6 weeks of no throwing. So after that point, let's just say 6 weeks of here, it takes him into mid-July. They're going to have to ramp him up and get him into games. So now you're looking at the trade deadline. Now at that point, Garrett Cole should be back, right? Thankfully, but we could be part of another missing cog here in this rotation that was stellar in Garrett Cole's absence. So, replacing one with one at some point is okay. Replacing with a Cy Young Award winner, but the fact is we need both of these guys in the rotation. Okay. Now, it is encouraging to see the Yankees continue to win games when this stuff's going on. They've won another series against the Angels. Now they're in San Francisco for 3 against the Giants. Hopefully they'll win series. If they keep winning series, then that's one good thing. They're going to remain in first place. And with that said, Cody Morris was called up yesterday to take Clark Schmidt's spot. I don't know how long he's going to last. Cody Potteet's supposed to take his spot in the rotation tomorrow against the Giants. So we'll see if Cody Morris gets optioned out or someone else gets optioned out. I would expect to see maybe Yoendris Gomez back at some point. Okay. Maybe they'll figure out a way to get in Will Warren, who's been struggling recently in AAA. So figuring out a way to get him up here as well as one of their highly touted pitching prospects as well. Clayton Beeter recently on the IL with a shoulder problem. So we'll see how he factors into this equation too. But what are the Yankees going to do at this point? Okay. To maintain momentum. Okay, let's talk about this. So, and by the way, make sure that you're sub to this channel. Okay, if you're not sub to this channel. And if you do, just hit all the alert bells and notifications. That way, when I go live, when we go live, you can join the discussion, the open panel, whatever it might be that day. But you'll also know when news comes out. And I want to get your feedback on this one here because there's a couple different options, right? They can sign somebody in free agency, but we went over the list last night. There's really nobody of magnitude who could be a difference maker to the level of even Clark Schmidt, never mind Garrett Cole. Okay. Noah Syndergaard, he's got a big arm. Maybe they can bring him in for long relief. A guy that can throw 3 or 4 innings twice a week or something like that for the rest of the season. Maybe with a big arm, but they already have guys like Luke Weaver here, and they've got Cody Potteet who's been stretched out already more than Morris. So guys that they could use and stretch out a little bit more incredibly, and hopefully they'll continue to do that. And then you've got JT Brubaker, who was acquired in the trade with the Pirates, but he's not ready to come back yet. He's not scheduled to be back in probably until July. So there are some arms here, which lends the question: are they going to use just the arms, or are they going to make a trade, or are they going to bring in somebody in free agency who wasn't signed by anybody? Not much on that list, okay? And Noah Syndergaard's probably the only one I would consider on the list because he's got a big, hard-throwing arm, and we can get a couple innings of darts out of him a couple days a week. Maybe you can go 3 innings for him and 4 innings for Weaver, and then just hand it over to the bullpen. You could do that, or 3 innings of him and 4 innings of Potteet, hand it over to the pen, something like that. Maybe that's a mix, but I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. Okay, I'm hoping that Will Warren pans out, hoping that Clayton Beeter pans out, and they've got a lot of pitching behind them. We've got Brock Selvage, got some other guys too, but how far are they? How close are they is the question. So give me your thoughts, gang. What do you think they should do? Should they, number one, make a trade and trade for who? Okay. Number 2, should they call up somebody? Okay. Number 3, should they sign somebody in free agency? Those are essentially the 3 options right now. Okay. And, we have some relievers coming back. And that's the other thing, too. Should they sign a reliever who can throw maybe multiple innings, like an AJ Puck, one of those relievers from the Marlins? Should they become available? I'm guessing Brian Cashman's on the phone last night, this morning, this afternoon. He'll be on the phone and figure out how to address this because I have a feeling, my gut's telling me, but I can't confirm this, that they're going to want to try to do whatever they can to maintain this momentum. And anybody they bring in has got to be a benefit to the chemistry and not a boon to the chemistry. Some people mentioned Trevor Bauer last night, and while he would be a logical fit to bring in, he poses chemistry problems. This is another reason why he's not a single team assignment. Okay? That's not something, it doesn't sound like that's part of a puzzle that the Yankees want to play with. I'm not surprised. Or any other team. So, but you give me your feedback either way. Okay? And again, like, who would you trade for? A starter or a reliever? Or try to get both? Right? If you could. Who would you give up? This talks about Mason Miller. Okay, great. But the expectation is Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones, maybe a Chase Hampton. Like, there's no way in the world I would trade that for a reliever. No way in the world. So, Mason Miller to me is a hard pass. There's a couple of relievers in the Cardinals, a couple of relievers in the Marlins. That Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, maybe, somebody worth looking at. But what would you do? Because at this point now, I talked about Nestor Cortez potentially being a trade piece when Garrett Cole came back. But now we need Nestor Cortez more than we did before with Clark Schmidt out. So that part of the equation, I think, is out right now. Okay, so who would you bring in that you think would be a good benefit to the team, add to the chemistry, be productive, and again, help make this team better and help keep the team staying where they are, treading water as best they can until Garrett Cole comes back, until Scotty Frost comes back, until some of these other guys come back, until Jason Dominguez is ready, maybe in September. Maybe at that point, Will Warren will be up. Maybe Clayton Beeter be up. Maybe Spencer Jones will be ready to be called up. Like, there's some things that we can look for light at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel's a little far away right now. Okay? So I want to ask you folks this. Give me your feedback in the comments, okay? What would you do? Would you make a trade? Would you sign somebody for agency? Or would you bring somebody up? And who would you bring up? Okay? And who would you be willing to give up in a trade? These are important questions. And again, I'm hoping that the Yankees aren't going to make a desperation move and completely throw off the momentum that they built. Okay? And the fact is, their offense is good enough to hold the team together. They made that obvious last night when they took that game. They were up 2-1, and then they scored 6 runs. So and they scored, was it 8-3? So Carlos Rodon with another one. He's 7-2 now. So kudos for Carlos Rodon. Okay, and kudos to a lot of the guys in the bullpen who've been doing a pretty stand-up job. There's a hiccup here and there, no doubt about it. But the bullpen's been pretty stellar. But would you add to it? Would you add to the rotation? Would you add a temporary piece to the rotation? Or would you try to trade for a bigger piece, meaning you'd have to replace someone that's in the rotation now? And who would it be? Who's replaceable on this rotation right now? That's the question. That's another question that's been added to this equation since Clark Schmidt's gone down. I'm hoping that Clark Schmidt gets a full recovery, but I don't expect him back until probably mid-July, maybe the trade deadline. That's 2 months from now, 8 to 10 weeks. Just like that. That's a lot of starts to try to fill in for. Is Cody Poteet the right guy to do it? Right? I don't know. Who's might be available that could be an innings eater? Folks were asking me last night who's got an opt-out. I don't know. But I think opt-outs are mostly applicable in the offseason, not necessarily during the season. So it's a good question too. But this is the first time the Yankees are really going to be tested now. I mean, they passed the first test. Garrett Cole went down the rotation, held it together. They were stellar. But now the rotation has a hit. 40% of it's out. Cole's out, Schmidt's out. That's a big blow. Are they good enough, strong enough to withstand it is the question. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, let's try to figure out solutions here. Let's put our thinking caps on together. How can we figure out how to help keep the Yankees moving forward? This isn't a blame Cashman thing. This isn't a blame Boone thing. That is a complete waste of time. Neither one of them are responsible for Clark Schmidt's strained lat. So let's not even waste our time there, please. Okay? Let's talk about it. Have a good day, gang. I'll obviously see you later on with the lineup regardless, but go Yankees.